If your fingertips are getting super sore and you're still getting buzzy chords as you're playing guitar, I'm going to break down the exercise that is going to fix all that for you pretty much immediately. And then after I show you this exercise and you have an opportunity to walk through it, I'm going to explain to you exactly what might be stopping you, what might be wrong with your actual instrument, not your hands, not your fingers, not your brain, that's keeping you from getting clean, clear chords really, really easily. Okay, so what happens is most people squeeze way too hard when they play chords. What happens is initially when we start strumming, when we start playing, our very first instinct when we get a buzzy chord is to squeeze harder. And that does make the chord ring out more clearly because our chord was buzzy, we squeezed harder and it got better. But it's not actually the squeezing that helped. What happens is when we squeeze, you can watch my fingers, they roll up into a little bit better of a position. They're more on the tip top of the finger. Okay, so that's what's getting the chords to ring cleanly. The most likely culprit when you have buzzy chords is that your fingers, the pads of your fingers are actually touching some of the strings. We need to get that finger out of the way to get it to ring cleanly. Being on the tip tops of the fingers is what's going to help us do that. And so we want to focus on not squeezing harder, but actually being on the tip top of our fingers. Now, what's the exercise that's actually going to help us with that? It's twofold. So first, everybody's seen the spider exercise that people teach. It's such a popular exercise, and this is why. It's a perfect opportunity to practice that ideal playing position. We get on the tip tops of our fingers, and then we move each finger one at a time while leaving our other fingers down. Now, I don't have a pinky, so I'm only moving one finger while I hold two down, but you would hold down three and move one. And as we do that, we're crawling up the guitar on the tip top of our finger. So in order to really practice this, what we can do is we can actually lead with our ring finger. And instead of plucking the string we're going to, right, the B string, I'm going to pluck the E string. And then the B string while I move to the G, to make sure that that string is able to ring open behind my fingers, that I'm arched enough and on the tip enough that I'm getting that to ring. Okay, major disclaimer here. You're going to say, well, I was watching Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Mayer, Jimmy Page, you name it, Guitar Hero play, and they're not on the tippy tops of their fingers. And that's actually correct. A lot of professional guitar players are not going to be playing on the exact tippy tops of their fingers, but let me break down why. Okay. When we first start playing guitar, we tend to play kind of flat on the pads of our fingers. It's hard to get on the tip. We don't have the control necessary between our brains and our hands to get our fingers to do what we want. Step one is developing that control, doing what I'm just teaching you right now. It's making sure that we can have every note in every chord ring. Now, our next step is to intentionally mute certain strings when we play so that those other strings don't ring out. We're going to use the pads of our fingers not accidentally to mute notes, but intentionally to mute notes, so that I can strum all 6 strings when only playing 1 or 2 notes. I'm using a combination of my thumb over and the pads of my fingers to mute the strings I don't want. But in order to get to that level 2, using what I call fret hand muting, I need to be able to control my fingers to be on the tip top and play it without those muted notes first. So a lot of times when we're looking at our guitar heroes and we're seeing what they're doing and we're saying, well, I want to just do that. It's like, yes, but we have to get there, right? We have to learn the control to be able to control it enough to do that. Now, I said 2 exercises that you were going to get. We did the first, the spider, which everybody knows, but this next one I'm going to give you should be the kind of shock and awe factor, and this is how we play guitar. So what I want you to do is you're going to take your index finger and you're going to set it just over 3rd fret of the 3rd string. Now, you are not going to fret a note. You are instead going to just touch the string and intentionally get a thunk. Good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slowly pluck the string and apply pressure until we get a clean, clear note. Now, that is the maximum amount of pressure we want to use. We want to be right at that sweet spot where we're using just enough pressure to connect the string to the fret, but no more. The fret is what's doing the job for us, not our finger. Now, that's an ideal that, I still, 24 years in, have not reached. I'm squeezing harder than that every time I play a chord. But not much, just a little bit. We want to really try to be as light of a touch on the guitar as we possibly can to get those clean, clear notes. Squeezing is almost never the answer. Now, if you feel like, well, I have to squeeze really hard, or you weren't shocked at how easy it was to play this note, this is what might be holding you back. This is the thing that might be in the way of your clean, clear chords that has nothing to do with your technique and everything to do with your instrument. Guitars need to be properly set up, both acoustics and electrics. Now, Leo Fender's design of the guitar and the way that Gibson did it as well back in the 50s when they're designing these instruments was just like a hot rod car. They wanted it to be customizable and they wanted you to be able to do a tune-up, which we call a setup. We're able to adjust the neck of the guitar using the truss rod. We're able to adjust the saddles to get different heights of the strings and to intonate the guitar, and we're easily able to change the strings. So those things, being able to adjust the truss rod, adjust the saddles, are what's part of a basic setup. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that our guitar isn't smiling on the neck, right? Like we don't want the neck to be dipping this way, and we don't want it to have a frown either where it's a bow out. Now, if you have the frown or you have a really big smile, you'll actually get really dead and buzzy notes. So you'll notice sometimes you'll play a guitar, and if you try to play every fret, you'll just get a buzz somewhere. Now, that means that the neck isn't as straight as it needs to be to play. But even a tiny fraction off is going to make it way harder to play, especially in certain spots of the guitar. And it's usually the worst back by these open chords where we're trying to learn and trying to get our chords to sound clean. So if that happens for you, you want to look up, how do I adjust the truss rod for my particular guitar, whether it's an acoustic guitar, whether it's an electric guitar. So this one has a truss rod thing. You use an Allen key. It goes right in here. A lot of acoustics, you just go into the sound hole, but each guitar is going to be different. You can very easily find tutorials on how to adjust it, which way to turn it, about how much, and go slow. But you will be able to see as you make these adjustments, you're going to be able to get the neck where it's going to let you play very lightly and get clean, clear notes every single time. So make sure that you're not fighting your instrument to do this. And once we know our instrument's ready to go, we can really dial in and work on our technique. If this video has been helpful for you, I think you would get a lot out of my course and community. It's at school.com/guitargympro if you want to give it a check out. I'll talk to you guys soon.